Hi, I'm Anita. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a pair of earrings, and this will be bezeling a 12mm cushion cut fancy stone. It also is known as a square rivoli. So however you want to call it, we're going to be bezeling that today, and I'll have links in the description box that will have all the products used in today's tutorial. So if you click more below this video, you'll get all the details, including a link to my website. Alright, so let's get started. First of all, I'll go over the materials you're going to need. For tools, you're going to need a pair of scissors, some flat nose pliers, and I use my pliers for flattening the fireline to make threading the needle a little easier. You're going to be using a size 12 beading needle because we're going through 15-0s and sometimes it's pretty tight. Now, you may also want to have on hand a size 13. That's even smaller. And the reason is I've discovered that when you're working with 2mm fire polish beads, sometimes they're not drilled consistently. And so I'm going to be using a size 13 today because I had one that was giving me issues. All right, so you're going to need a couple of 12mm rivolis. This is a Krakovski crystal. Isn't that gorgeous? It's got a foil back, very pretty. You need a couple of lever back earring findings, or you can use a hook. I have some 3mm bicone crystals. Aren't those gorgeous? These are Krakovski crystals. Very pricey, but they're beautiful, and it's a crystal AB finish. I'm also using 2mm fire polish beads, and this is kind of a vitrol. It's got an AB look to it. Super small, 2mm. I'm also using some 11-0 in galvanized silver, 15-0s in galvanized silver, and my delicas are in a silver-lined royal blue. Very pretty. And I'm using some of those. Now I did this in a different color palette, and I'll show you what that one looks like. I did it in cyan red. So here are the materials I used for the one I did in red. I used a copper, kind of a brown iris, galvanized gold, and my rivoli, or my cushion cut fancy stone, is a cyan red. Isn't that beautiful? So with the copper tones and the gold, galvanized gold, it gave it a nice contrast. I had some bicones. I used that in a red, and then I used little accents of white 2mm fire polish to do this. Now this pair I did a little differently. Instead of doing the fastener directly to the earring, I thought I'd try to do these with the wire guardians, and I kind of like the way they hang a little bit better. Very beautiful. But for today, we're going to be doing a direct attachment to the earring itself. All right, so let me clear my area and we'll get started. All right, to start, you're going to cut about 1 yard of your fireline. This is a 6-pound fireline in smoke, and you're going to put a stop bead halfway down because we're going to use half of the thread for the front half and the other half for the back half. So if you want to put a stop bead on, you're going to start by picking up 5 of your delicas and 4 of your 15-0 seed beads, like that. And you're going to do that 4 times. 5 delicas and 4 15-0s in the galvanized silver. All right, so here I have my 5 delicas, 4 15-0s, and I've done that 4 times. Now you're going to take your needle and you're going to go back through the first delica where you started, going towards your working thread. Right there. Pull that through, bring that to a circle. So that's what you should have. Now we're going to start peyote stitch. So the first 2 beads we're picking up are delicas. So we're picking up our 11-0 delica. We're exiting this delica here. You're skipping the next one and going under the next delica. And you want that bead to stack on top like that. Pick up another delica, skipping the next delica, going into the last delica. That should look like that. Now we're going to pick up 1/15. We're exiting the delica. We're going to skip this 15 and go through the next 2 15-0s. And you want that 15 to stack on top of the other one. Pick up another 15, exiting this 15, you're skipping the next 15, going in through the first delica coming up. Pull that and make sure that it is stacked neatly on top. If your thread gets loose at the tail end, just pull that together. And we're going to continue now and picking up a delica. So we're picking up a delica twice, exiting this one, skipping, and going under the next delica. Pick up another delica, skipping, going into the last delica. Now we're going to pick up a 15, we're exiting the delica, skipping 1 15, but going through the next 2 15-0s. Pick up another 15, skipping that 15, going into the first delica. And you're going to repeat that all the way around. Now I'm coming near the end here. I'm picking up a 15, exiting my delica, skipping the 15, going through the next 2 15-0s. And these are the corners right here. Now I'm picking up my last 15, and we're going to step up. So I'm exiting this 15, skipping the next 15, going through the delica where I started, and also stepping up on the diagonal. That's what you should have so far. Just make sure that stacks neatly. And if you need to, pull your stop bead out of the way. So now we're going to go on picking up our next delica. We're starting another row. We're exiting this delica, going into the next delica that's sticking up. Pick up another delica. Exiting this delica, we're going to go into the 15 that's sticking up. Now we're going to pick up 1 15, we're exiting this 15, skipping these 2, going into the next 15. And we're going to pull that nice and snug. We want to draw those corners together, and it's going to start to pucker up a little bit, like a little cup. So now we're going to pick up a delica, exiting the 15, going into the delica next in line that's sticking up. Pick up another delica, go into the next delica, sticking up, Pick up a delica, go into the first 15-0 that's sticking up. Now we're going to switch to a 15-0, pick up one 15-0, skipping the space here, and going into the next 15-0 that's sticking up. Kind of pull that snug. You want that to kind of start to curve up a little bit. Now we're going to pick up another 15-0, exiting here, going to the next delica, sticking up, and you're going to continue putting a delica here, here, a 15-0 here, and then back to delicas, and I'll meet you till we get to the end. I'm coming to my last corner here, picking up one 15-0, exiting this 15-0, going into the 15-0 that's sticking up after the two in the middle. Pull that. We've got one more delica to add. We're exiting the 15-0, we're skipping the delica and going into the next delica and the one on the diagonal to step up. And that completes this row. Notice how that's starting to curve up a little bit. So that's what it should look like, and that's where you should be so far. All right, so now that we are completed with that, we're going to set that needle down. You're going to take your tail thread that has the stop bead on it, and you're going to put a needle on that end. We're going to take the stop bead off. So I'm just going to sew backwards, or you can just pull it off. So I'm getting that stop bead off. Now what I want to do, my thread is exiting this delica here in the center. So I'm going to come up through the 15-0 right next to that delica. So I'm just advancing my needle up through that 15-0 to get in the right position. Right there. So now we're going to pick up 15-0s. So I'm exiting this 15-0. I'm going to go in through the next 15-0 that's sticking up. Pick up another 15-0, exiting this 15-0, we're skipping the next one and going into the delica that's sticking up. Pick up another 15-0, going into the next delica that's sticking up. And we're going to repeat this. Another delica, putting a 15-0 in between. Now I'm picking up a 15-0, going into the 15-0 that's sticking up, pick up a 15-0, and go into the delica that's sticking up. And you're going to repeat this all the way around. Now I'm coming near the end here, picking up a 15-0, exiting this delica, going into the 15-0 that's sticking up. Pick up another 15-0, skipping this 15-0, going into the next delica. Get that tail thread out of the way. Picking up another 15-0, going through the next delica. This is the last one. Pick up another 15-0, going through the delica. Pick up a 15-0, and we're going through this next delica right here, and the one on the diagonal. We're actually going through these next two. So that completes that row. So now we're going to set this needle down. And that's what you should have so far. All right, so for our next step, we've set our other thread or other needle down. We're going back to our other needle, and we want our thread coming out of where there's a 2-bead gap here. So right now, this thread is exiting here. I'm going to flip this over because I want to work with the other thread, and I want to advance my thread through the next 15-0 like that, through the next delica, then I want it to be coming out of actually, I need to come back. Let's go back one direction. I want to come up through the delica. It's in the middle. Then that's the delica and the seed bead, or the 15-0, next to the 2-bead gap. So I want my needle coming out right there, exiting the 15-0 next to the 2-bead gap, So from here, this is the front of our bezel. So I'm exiting this 15-0 here. I want to place a 15-0 in between each of my beads that are sticking up. So I'm exiting here, skipping the 2 beads that are in the gap, going through the next 15-0. Now I'm picking up another 15-0, exiting this 15-0. Notice I'm going through the delica that's sticking up. Pick up a 15-0, going through the next delica that's sticking up. Pick up a 15-0, going through the 15-0 that's sticking up right before the 2-bead gap. Pick up another 15-0, go through the next 15-0 that's sticking up, and you're going to continue that all the way around. Coming near the end, picking up a 15-0, exiting this delica, going into the next 15-0, sticking up. All right, I backed out that last stitch. We're exiting this delica here, skipping the delica. we're going through this last 15-0, sticking up in the one on the diagonal because we need to step up. So that completes that row right here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to switch threads again. We're going to set this needle down. That's the front of our bezel. We're going to put that upside down like that, and we're going to be going back to our other needle. So from here we're going to go ahead and grab our chaton or our bezeled cushion cut stone. We're going to place that upside down. And you want your corners to be in line with where the silver corners are. And if it moves around, you can just rearrange it and just kind of hold your thumb. It's going to want to pop out as you're doing this next step, but just hold it in place the best you can. And we're going to start putting 15-0s for this row. So right now our thread is exiting down here. We already set that needle down because we're done. Now we're picking up our other needle that's on the back side. We're exiting a 15-0. We're going to start placing 15-0s all the way around, so pick up a 15-0. Exiting. Here, going into the next 15-0 that is sticking up. Pick up another 15-0, going through the next 15-0 that's sticking up. And you want to make sure that that thread doesn't get caught and that your bead pops into place, and just kind of keep it snug. It's going to start to fold over your cushion cut stone. So pick up another 15-0, exiting this 15-0, going into the one that's sticking up. And you're going to do that all the way around. Now as you're adding these 15-0s around, make sure you're pulling, and you'll notice that it's going to start to fold over your cushion cut stone. So I'm coming near the end of my corner here, picking up a 15-0, going into the next 15-0 that's sticking up. Pick up a 15-0. Exiting this 15-0, going into the next one, and then I'm going to go up on the diagonal. So we've stepped up, we've completed that round of 15-0s, and that's what you should have so far. You notice that it's starting to be nice and snug around your stone. That's what you want it to look like. From here we're going to pick up another round of 15-0s. So I'm exiting here, picking up this 15-0. Pick up another 15-0, going to the next 15-0 that's sticking out. Now this is the corner, so once I've passed that 15-0 through, I'm going to skip my corners. So I'm going to just sew through the beads, sew through these next two beads. Now I'm going to sew down through this 15-0 and up until I'm in the one sticking up. So we're skipping the corners, and when you get to the sides, now we're going to put a 15-0 where there's the gap. So pick up another 15-0, going through the 15-0 that's sticking up. Pick up a 15-0, exiting here, going through this 15-0 that's sticking up. And I'm going to go on the diagonal through the next 2 beads because we're going to skip that corner. Continue advancing your thread through the next 2 beads. And we want to exit this bead that's sticking up right here. Pick up another 15-0, exiting here, and so forth. So continue. I'm coming to my last bead here, picking up a 15-0, going through this next 15-0, and I'm just going to go down on the diagonal. And that completes that row. So now we're going to advance this thread down to our center delica. So we're exiting here. I'm just going to bring my needle through these next 2 delicas here in the corner, through this next delica. I'm sorry, through the next 15-0s. You're advancing through these 15-0s. Now we're going to advance through this delica here on the end, and then the one in the center. We're actually going to go through this delica right here. So that's where you want your thread exiting, and you're going to set your needle down, and then we'll go on to the next step. All right, so we're setting that needle down, and we're going to go back to our front needle. So our front needle is coming out of this 15-0 here on the corner. We want our thread exiting this 15-0 here where you see the 2 spaces. So I'm going to bring my thread through this 15-0 here and then up through this one where you see these 3 15-0s in line on the side. So we're going to pick up a 15-0, go through the next 15-0, pick up a 15-0, go through the next 15-0 that's sticking up. Now we're going to advance past the corner. So we're going to advance our thread through here, coming out of this 15-0 right here. So I'm just going to come through some beads, come through that 15-0. So pick whatever route is easiest for you. I'm going to go through these next 3 beads. And I'm using a size 13 needle, by the way. That just makes it easier. Now I'm going to bring my needle through this 15-0 where I have my delicate spaces. Picking up a 15-0, going through the next 15-0. Pick up a 15-0. Go through the next 15-0. You're going to advance and do the same thing all the way around. All right, I'm coming down to my last section here on the side, exiting this 15-0 before the gaps on the delicas. So pick up another 15-0, going to the next 15-0 sticking out. Pick up a 15-0. Going through the next 15-0 that's sticking up. So that's what you should have so far. So from here we're going to be adding a point. So if you look closely, right here where we added this last bead, there's one space. We're going to put a 50 there. This section here, there's one space. We're going to put a 50 there. And same thing, this side has two with a gap right there. We're going to add a 50 there. And then at the bottom, we're going to do this all the way around. So I'll show you how to do the first one. Right now I'm exiting here, so we're going to advance our thread through the corner and up through so that we're exiting the 50 before that gap right there on the side. No beads will be added in this step until we get to the side where that space is. So I'm just advancing through the corner, and do whatever way is best for you. So I'm coming out here. Now I've got these 3 beads on the diagonal. I'm going to go through one at a time. And this is where I want my needle coming out of, where that little space is. So here we're going to pick up a 50, going through the next 50, and that's going to make a point where that gap is. So you're going to do that same step all the way around. Advance through the corners, advance until you are where this little gap is, and you're going to add one 50, and you're going to do that 3 more times. I'm coming to my last side that needs a point, picking up my 50 now, and I'm going to come down through these 2 50 no's here. That's what you should have so far. For our next step, we're going to be reversing direction. So right now we're coming out of this 50 here. We're going to come up through this next delica. Now we're going to come up through the delica on the diagonal. So we want our thread exiting this delica here. So now we're going to be picking up 11 O's, and we're going to be doing what's called stitch in the ditch. So we're going to switch to 11 O's, pick up an 11 O. We're exiting right here, this delica. You're going to skip these next 2 delicas and go into the one that's next in line. Pick up another 11 O. We're exiting this delica. We're going to go into the 50 O that's next in line where that 2 bead gap is. That's what you should have so far. Now on the corner where the 2 bead gap is, we're going to be adding our 2 millimeter fire polish beads. The teeny weeny fire polish beads are going to go in the corner. So pick up one of those. We're exiting the 50 where the 2 bead gap is, and we're going to go through the next 50 that's sticking up right there. And that fire polish should sit right in the corner. Now we're going to go back to our 11 O's, pick up an 11 O, exiting the 50 O after that 2 bead gap, and we're going to go into the next delica that's next in line. Pick up an 11 O, go through the delica that's next in line. I'm going to do that one more time. Pick up an 11 O and now we're going through the 15-0 where the 2-bead gap is. So you should have 3 11-0s on the sides, and we'll finish that one when we come back around. So we're exiting the 15-0. We're going to pick up another 2mm fire polish, going to the next 15-0 after the 2-bead gap, and we're going to pick up our 11-0s, continue, and we'll go all the way around. I'm coming to my last place to add my 11-0 to where we left off, exiting the 15-0, going into the delica next in line, adding an 11-0 in between right there to complete that, and now we're going to step up into the 11-0 where we started. Starting to take shape. So that's what you should have so far. And if you wanted to, you could, leave it like that, or you could continue, go on to the next step. So it's up to you, optional. Starting to take shape, absolutely gorgeous. So now we'll go on to the next step. All right, for our next step, we're going to continue embellishing this side. Let's get this tail thread out of the way. Okay, so we're exiting our 11-0. We're going to start picking up our 3mm bicone crystals. So we're exiting here, going into the next 11-0, and that's that third 11-0. So from here, I'm going to pick up an 11-0 and go through the 2mm fire polish bead. Pick up another 11-0, go through the next 11-0 in line. So this is going to repeat. So from here, we're exiting the 11-0. We're going to pick up a bicone crystal, go through the next 11-0. So bicone crystal will go in between the spaces in the 11-0, so you'll have 2 bicone crystals, and then you're going to have an 11-0 on each side of your fire polish. So we're going to continue that pattern all the way around. 11-0, 11-0, bicone crystal, and bicone crystal. You're going to repeat that the rest of the way. So I'm exiting the 11-0 here, picking up my last bicone to complete this round, going through the 11-0 and through the bicone crystal. So that's what you should have so far with your thread exiting the bicone crystal. All right, our thread is exiting the bicone crystal. We're going to bring our needle through the next 2 11-0s. Right there. So now we're going to pick up 3 11-0s, coming down through the next 2 11-0s on the other side of the fire polish bead. And that's going to create a little border around your fire polish bead like that. So now we want to advance through the crystal, the bicone crystal, and we're going to pick up 3 15-0s. exiting this bicone crystal, going into the next bicone crystal, and through the next 2 11-ohs. And you want those 15-ohs to sit on top of your 11-oh below and your crystals on each side, like that. So we're going to repeat what we did here. Pick up 3 11-ohs, go through the next 11-oh, we're going to go through the bicone crystal, and pick up 3 15-ohs, going through the next crystal and the 2 11-ohs. And we're going to do that all the way around, and we're going to stop before we get to the 2 crystals on the end. So here I'm picking up 3 11-ohs, going through the 2 11-ohs, through the crystal, pick up 3 15-ohs, go through the crystal and the 2 11-ohs. Pick up 3 11-ohs, go through the next 2 11-ohs, and I'm going to stop here because I don't have much thread left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weave this short piece down, and we're going to go back to the other thread to finish this off. So from here you can do a half hitch knot by coming under the thread bridge, I'm going to come through the crystals, the 11-oh, the crystal, and I'm just going to come through and finish this off by weaving my needle through a few more beads. Do another half hitch knot here. Advance through a few more beads. And I'm going to cut this thread off, and we'll continue with the thread that's left. So what I need to do is I want to come back up to where these 2 bicone crystals are. That's where we're going to attach our lever back finding. Now you could do it differently. If you want to do your connection here on the corner, you can do that. It's all a matter of preference. So for now I'm going to just travel my needle. See, I'm coming out of a delica here. I'm going to reverse direction, go through the crystal. But it doesn't matter how you do this. I'm just advancing through the crystal, back up through the 11-ohs just to get my needle coming out over here, coming through this 11-oh. Now I'm going to advance through these 11-ohs right there, and have my needle coming out of the bicone crystal where we left off. Okay, so there we are. Now I am going to add my lever back. So what I did was I did an 11-oh, a 15-oh, the lever back, and then repeated that on the other side. So you're going to pick up an 11-oh first, a 15-oh, and my thread is going this way, so I'm going to connect to my lever back front facing, going from right to left. So go through, Bring that down and then pick up a 15-0 and an 11-0 for the other side. And we're going to bring our needle down through the crystal going that direction. You want that to situate so that the front is facing. So what we need to do is we're going to reinforce this. So I'm coming out of this bicone crystal. I'm going to backtrack through some of these delicas to get back on this side so I can go back up and around. So just follow a thread path. It doesn't matter which way you go. I might go through this 11-0 here first. Might be easier. And make sure that your thing isn't twisted. Now I'm going to come through this delica to reverse direction and through this delica and just kind of follow a thread path that will put you in a position where you can come back through the crystal. Okay, now I'm coming out of this delica here. I'm going to come up through the 11-0 and the crystal like that. Now I can come back up through the 11-0, the 15-0, and then bring your needle through the lever back. You want to try to get this snug. Try to get the beads to sit in between or to surround the lever back so your thread's not rubbing on it. Then come down the 2 beads. And once you reinforce that, it should sit straight. And then you're just going to bring your needle down through, do a couple of half hitch knots, and clip your thread off. So go ahead and do that, and we'll wrap up this video. All right. Aren't these beautiful? Just gorgeous. Lots of shimmer and shine, and super easy to make. You know, it's got all the extra embellishment, but you know, you can make it as fancy or as plain as you want. Super simple. You could even add like a dangle here at the bottom, a dagger bead, just modify the stitch as you're coming along, or you could do it diagonally. Very, very pretty, and lots of different options for you. So this concludes today's tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I want to thank you for joining me today. I'll have links in the description box below with all the products used in today's tutorial. I also have a website where I sell my own jewelry, and you'll see that as well. So check it out, because I do have sales throughout the year, so I have some great discounts to offer. Also, if you're not a subscriber, I hope you do subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you're notified when I upload new videos. And I want to thank all of you who have joined my channel and are sharing my link, and I really appreciate any comments and feedback that you want to leave. So feel free to leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Also, have a wonderful week. Happy beading, and I'll see you next time.